Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, actors, actresses, performers alike. Thank you for tuning in to the Actors Area, this awesome podcast. I'm so excited to share with you on a daily basis. And I'm your host, Sean Grant, if you hadn't listened in before. But if you have, welcome back. So happy to be here. So happy to experience this with you and just allow whatever wants to come through to emerge and help you in the very best way possible. So also, I want to encourage you guys to share this podcast. My goal has always been about impact and expansion. And what I mean by that is, getting this message to as many people that can benefit from it and use it, even if it furthers their career a little bit. That's what counts. Any progress helps. And it's about helping each and every actor, actress, person to see the light, to see the joy, to see the happiness within themselves and within their career. So feel free to share this with people. You can actually download it. So listen to it with a friend. Whatever helps anyone, be my guest. Feel free to send it their way. So getting right into it, the actor's success. It's more about feeling than seeing. Okay. And so, when we look at this, it immediately reminds me of faith. It immediately reminds me that, one, I'm an unlimited being. Two, the universe is all pervasive, all providing, all loving, and can basically give me everything that I need to carry out my purpose. Okay? And so the reason why it is so very important to trust more of your feeling than what you can see is because everything around you, getting a little law of attraction, specializing here, but everything around you is not solid. Now, it may look like a solid being, but if you study quantum physics, you know that anything that looks solid is a bunch of minuscule energetic particles and atoms put together that's keeping that thing in place. And your observation is what's giving it the energy to exist. Okay? So not to get too crazy with that, but what you need to know is that anything in front of you, anything you see as a so-called quote unquote solid can be changed, which means that your career can be on the dumps one day and then all of a sudden the next day you're riding high. And it all gets back to what you're feeling on the inside, the emotions, the emanation of your heart and what you're putting out to the rest of the world. So for me, this comes down to if I'm not getting the auditions that I want, if I'm not getting the contacts, I'm not networking, or I'm not booking as much. Let's just call a spade a spade. I'm not booking as much. I know that that's not necessarily an indication that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I just have to tune into the feeling of what is going on inside of me. And I'm not saying that you are in a feeling of response. This is more or less proactivity. So you could be booking absolutely nothing, but you're still in a place of peace. You're still in a place of happiness and of trust to the universe that at the right time, those things will shake free. And so this is so important because it keeps you from getting discouraged if you run into those dry spells. So we'll give you some insight here. A lot of times, the universe will feel like we need to be more creative in a certain aspect in order to help us to be a greater actor. So what will happen is we'll have more time to let's say, paint, write, speak, dance, and then less time away from acting. So you just have to feel the current of the divine to know where it's leading you and to always know, but not only know, but to trust with conviction that this divine current is always in your highest good. It's always in your highest good. And if I would have knew that 5-10 years ago, actually about 10 years ago, if I'd have knew that, life would have been so much easier. So I want to share it with you now because it's so important to be able to put your everything into the concept about feeling, and it goes even deeper than believing. Most people think that you just have to believe, but you've got to get to a place of conviction and knowing that everything's going to work out, because everything is working out right now. No matter what it looks like from a physical perspective, it's working out. You may have bombed an audition. Guess what? It's working out. You may have showed up late on set. Guess what? It's working out. You may have just been released by your agent, or, not getting the role that you thought you had in the bag. It is still working out. So you just have to connect with that feeling. That feeling is a feeling of love. And if you tuned in yesterday, definitely go back and listen if you hadn't. We talked a little bit about operating from a place of love, and how that purifies everything that you're doing and allows it to expand and allows you to succeed on a greater level, not just on a personal level. So this kind of ties into the same concept. Always remember why you got back into it. When I used to be a football player and things would get very hard, I mean, extremely hard. If you've ever played football or any organized athletic sport. And so I'm talking about 100-degree heat and getting, thrown up in the air like a rag doll and having to go to the chiropractor like 2 or 3 times a week. I always came back to why I was doing what I was doing. And that was always geared in love and always geared in passion. And would you know, that helped me to overcome and override injury, insult, setback, obstacle. I just kept going. It was something greater within me that was pushing me to be able to continue to work and to succeed in that capacity. And you can do the same thing in your career. You just remember your why. You remember why you're doing it. And you tie that why into the ability it has to impact humanity. And when you do that, you become a supernova. You become this immovable force that can accomplish anything that they so desire. But remember, it's more about trusting within from a spiritual standpoint and emotional more than it is about what is in front of you, okay? Because physical objects are always subjected to change, in a moment's notice. So always trust what the heart is telling you. That's why we came up with being heart-centered. You're always trusting what it's giving you, and it's going to lead you in the right direction. If you surrender to it, if you take the pressure off yourself, if you trust that you are moving in the direction that you need to go because that's what your heart is telling you, I guarantee you, I put everything I have on it, you will succeed. You just have to be patient. You just have to be open and allow those things to come to pass. And so what I'm going to leave you with here, before I go, is just remember that you're never out of it. You're never out of it. You may be 65 years old, worked in a normal job, not necessarily a normal job, but a standard job other than entertainment, your entire life. You may be 30 something and you've been acting for like 15 years and you hadn't gotten to that place where you feel like you're going to rise higher and you're just going to like break free and thrive. But you know what? As long as you're connected to your heart, you are never out of it. There's always the opportunity that something will come, and it will. You just have to marry yourself to that truth, because everybody succeeds to one degree or another, even if you have to change directions, move with the highest good, move with that divine current, and know that you're always in the game. You're always ready and able to score at any point in time. And just take that with you, marinate on it, believe it, trust it, and everything will work out very well. Fellow actors and actresses and performers alike, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast, The Actors Area. Once again, feel free to share, feel free to email, feel free to send it to anybody who you think can benefit from it. I've set it up in a way where sometimes you don't even really need to be an actor to listen to this, because this stuff works in life as well as your career. But I thank you for joining me, and I thank you for listening. be sure to look back or check back in, and we'll be with you again next week. Other than that, have a wonderful day. Thank you. Take care.